And the rocks really are black. And it's dark. The sun doesn't reach the bottom for very long because it's such a narrow canyon.
Yeah.
And so it feels more ominous, more like a villain. This is the Exploring the National Parks podcast with Dirt in My Shoes. My name is Ash, and I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes. I think that the parks are best seen from the trail, and I'm here to make national park trip planning easy.
And I'm John. I carry the kids on the trails, I tell stories, and notice all the things that Ash doesn't care about much, like flowers.
Join us as we show you around America's spectacular national parks.
We're sharing our favorite places, fun facts, adventures, and misadventures.
And we'll even throw in a little trip planning.
Let's start exploring.
We have some really fun trips coming up in the next little bit.
I'm so excited.
I know. It's really fun, actually. So we're heading to Zion pretty soon. We're going to, I'm going to Georgia's Golden Isles.
That should be really fun.
By myself. Well, with my friend, but John's not invited.
She's ditching me. Girls' night out.
I am. We're going to Cumberland Island, which I've always wanted to go to. And then we're going to hang out kind of in that area for a few days. So we'll see how that goes. But that's a national park site that I've never been to.
It's so fun. You'll have a blast because both Ash and I have started doing things with like friends that we grew up with. And so it's like people that know us better than anybody else.
I know. And like we've just moved away or just haven't kept in touch as good. And that's what actually both of these trips are. One of my friends lives down by Zion, and she and I worked at Grand Teton at the same time. And we spent every Monday, that was my day off, and that was her day off too. Every Monday, just like trying to cover as much mileage in Grand Teton as we possibly could before she had to go to work that night. So it was like we hiked the Cascade Canyon, Paintbrush Canyon Loop. It's long. It's like 25 miles to do the whole thing. And we did all of that in a day before she had to get back to work.
That's wild.
And so that's one friend. And so I'm really excited because she lives down by Zion and she's taking me canyoneering. She's really into that now, and I'm not as good at that as I am hiking.
That'll be so cool, though.
So that's going to be fun. And then, my other friend is my best friend all through junior high and high school, and she lives out in Florida now, and I'm going to fly out there to go see her, and then we're going to go to Cumberland Island.
That'll be a blast.
Right? I know. So fun. And then our family is headed out to... Well, we're going like on a family vacation to Myrtle Beach, but we added in Congaree while we're right there, which we've tried to get to before, but we had to bypass because of a hurricane.
Which we're a little nervous about.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little nervous about Congaree. I read somewhere, like, people are talking about the canoe trail that you can do there. And that they're like, well, it's not that hard. The worst part about it was, like, the spiders that fell from the trees into our canoe. I'm like, no. Hard pass for me.
And people say that snakes have to do that, too. And so it's like, which the snakes I could probably handle. Spiders are my greatest weakness.
I'm going to have to bring an umbrella and just put it above me. Well, John paddles me around.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to look really funny. But
so if you've
we're going to survive.
If you've been to Congaree, message us. Go to the Facebook or Instagram page for Dirt in My Shoes. Send me a message and tell me it's going to be okay.
Do we need to treat Congaree like the Phantom of the Opera, where we have to keep our hands at the level of our eyes? So that we don't have if you've seen the movie Alien, where like that creature just like looks like a spider and jumps on your face and then implants an alien in your body. So that's what I'm worried about with
That's what we're envisioning for Congaree National Park.
Exactly. So we're cautiously optimistic about that trip.
I'm always excited to go to a new national park.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun to check another one off. And we're getting to the point where we actually had someone ask us to do a podcast episode on the national parks we haven't been to and why. But in a nutshell, the parks that we have left for the most part are the ones that were really expensive and really hard to get to.
or have like alien monsters that want to impregnate you with another alien that just pops out of your chest and looks at you.
But we're going to that one. We're doing it. So wish us luck. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see something new.
Yes, should be fun. But today we get to talk about national parks we've been to, and honestly, turning them all into a road trip is so much fun.
We've been to these parks so many times.
Oh,
so many times.
Yes, absolutely.
So we thought we should do a whole road trip itinerary specifically for the Colorado National Parks.
Yes.
So that's 4 national parks.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Rocky Mountain, Great Sand Dunes, Black Canyon of the Gunnison, and Mesa Verde.
Oh, well, what an amazing combo.
They're all totally different.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, you won't feel any similarities from one to the other. It will be like you entered a totally different planet each park you get to.
Yeah, it's so much fun. But while I was getting ready for this episode, I realized that when I'm on a road trip, and it's especially evident when we're in Colorado, I have a few interesting traditions that I'm not that you know about, but probably has become so normal that you don't even worry about it. I always wave to people that are towing the same brand of trailer as me.
Yep. But he never waves to them while we're towing the trailer. He forgets. And so we'll just be in our regular vehicle and he'll be like, "Oh, there's a travel trailer." And he'll wave. And it's like, they don't know that we also have the same trailer.
I know. It's because when I'm driving the trailer, I'm too busy driving the trailer to recognize what other people are having. I also started doing that when I first bought our F-250, but there were just way too many F-250s on the road to wave to them all. But I do think Jeep people do that. Like when we're in
motorcycles, you see them doing their little finger wave.
Yes.
It's cool.
It is fun. But I have 2 things that I always yell out whenever I see them. The first...
Van life!
The first is van life. Yes, because I'm so excited about van life. And then the second one is raft. So anytime I see somebody pulling a raft, then I yell. But when we're in Colorado, I am constantly yelling out, raft! Or van life! Every time we see one of those camper vans on the road, because it's just so much fun. And if you don't know what van life is
who doesn't know what van life is?
I think some people don't.
No, it got so trendy.
It did. But
if you live in a van.
We always were somewhat jealous of van life people when we moved, because we had kids, and so we moved into a travel trailer when we went full-time RVing. But we looked at the van life people and thought to themselves, if it was just me and you, Ash.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We would have gone van life for sure.
We would have. But I did not want to be stuck in a van with 2 kids. That did not sound fun to me.
We have seen people do it.
And it does not look fun to me.
We've seen people do it with lots of kids.
Yeah.
But when we first moved into our RV, like full-time RVing and van life was like super trendy again.
It was, yeah.
And I say again on purpose because sometimes I feel like if it's trendy now, we think we invented it. Like there's this really funny, it's a reel or something on Instagram where a girl thinks that she invented skirts or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
It's a skirt and shorts,
And all of the people who grew up in the 80s are like, yeah, you did not invent that.
And so, because I'm pretty sure like van life was pretty big during like the 60s and 70s when the Volkswagen bus became like an American icon. And so it's a pretty big deal. But to my point, there's a reason I'm talking a little bit longer about this than probably Ash is like, what is he going on about?
I think that a lot.
That is true. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because today's road trip is going to have a specific flavor to it.
Okay.
It's going to have a van life flavor to it.
Okay.
And so I created a old school van life road trip mixtape.
Okay.
Because this road trip that we're taking all around Colorado is 12 days. And so I came up with a song for every day.
Okay.
That's going to be like the theme for each day. And the bands, it's 4 bands that are actually from Colorado or lived in Colorado.
Okay.
And so it's a little bit of local flavor.
Yeah.
Because I feel like of all the states, if I was to like label one state as like the van life state, to me, it's Colorado. I think it just makes sense. I mean, the second, third, and fourth place choices are California, Washington, and Oregon. But Colorado, for me, because it's mixed in with the raft that I'm always yelling, it just seems like it's always happening. There's so many van lifers in Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And we're going 1,000 miles through Colorado.
Nice.
And really the best of Colorado, if we're being honest.
I think so.
Because once you get east of Denver, like, there's no mountains.
Right.
And so
why be in Colorado?
Well, kind of. So we're basically following Colorado's Front Range through like the Denver area and down, and then circling around through the mountains to the west of Denver.
Right.
Is kind of our route. So we're going to walk you through. We're hitting 4 national parks in 12 days, 1,000 miles, and it's going to be epic.
It's going to be so great.
Okay, so for this road trip, if you're going in the summer or the fall, then you'll want to follow the direction that we outline in this episode. Mostly just because you've got some, like, between the Colorado parks, it's kind of interesting because you've got, like, one national park, Rocky, in some of the highest mountains in the country, right? And then you go down to, like, Great Sand Dunes, and it's, like, bloody hot during the summer, you know? It's pretty different. And so between the 4 parks, there's just a lot of variation weather-wise. And we're keeping kind of the mountainous parks in the prime time to be traveling. So kind of like the middle of the summer, early fall.
Right.
You'll want to hit those mountain parks. And then the other ones, like Mesa Verde and Great Sand Dunes, you can kind of hit those a little bit more in the shoulder season and be okay.
Yeah.
So follow it as we explain it if you're going in the summer and the fall. If you're going late spring or early summer, then I would flop it and I'd do it opposite.
You wouldn't flip it?
I wouldn't. I would flop it and do it opposite and hit those mountain parks last.
Yeah.
Instead of first. Just so you give yourself a little bit more time to get to those parks when things have had a chance to clear of snow.
To thaw out a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially in the high elevations. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
So it does make for an interesting plan, though, because it's like, wow, these parks really are so different. Okay, so let's jump in. Day 1, we are flying into Denver or driving to Denver, whatever you decide to do. But it's really nice that Denver is just right there.
Right.
It makes for a very easy hub to see all these parks.
Yes.
So you're flying into Denver, and then you're driving to Estes Park, which is the gateway town to Rocky Mountain on the east side, the side closest to Denver. Takes about an hour and a half or so to drive from the airport to Estes Park.
Correct.
And it's a gorgeous drive.
Van life? So that is actually the cue, Ash, for when we want to insert the song of the day.
Okay.
I'll just toss out van life like we would if we were driving.
Sounds good.
I'm going to read some lyrics and you have to guess who it is and what song it is. He was born in the summer of his 27th year.
Rocky Mountain High.
Exactly.
Colorado.
John Denver, baby. Rocky Mountain High. He was born in the summer of his 27th year, coming home to a place he'd never been before. And so...
I got that really fast.
So fast.
So fast.
A lot of van lifers, the reason you're doing it is because you want to start in a new life. You're doing something really exciting, and this guy that was born in his 27th year started his new life.
And we're going Rocky Mountain High.
Exactly.
Which brings me to what you're going to do this day.
Yes.
Because you might have a little bit of time in the afternoon, evening after you get to Estes Park. And that is, you're going to focus on breathing and drinking water.
Ooh, yes.
Because we're trying to acclimatize to this higher elevation. Do you know, I had someone tell me acclimatize isn't a word.
Really?
Yeah, I looked it up. It is a word. But apparently in the States we say acclimate more often.
Oh, acclimate instead of acclimatize.
Yeah, you can say either, but I thought that was funny.
Nice.
So we're going to acclimate to the high elevations because the high point of Rocky Mountain National Park is over 14,000 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
And when you get there, a lot of these hikes that you're doing are 10,000 feet or above.
Exactly.
And most people are not used to being at that elevation. And it is easy to get altitude sickness here.
It can be really hard on your body and give you like the altitude sickness like gives you these headaches.
Yeah.
So it's really rough.
What you're going to want to do is when you get to Estes Park, it's okay if you want to like drive into the park for a minute. You could do you could drive the old Fall River Road, or you could drive a portion of the Trail Ridge Road or something like that. You're not going to want to plan like a really big hike or anything. But if you want to drive around and kind of see some of the park, look for wildlife, whatever, that's fine. But just make sure that you are drinking a ton of water. That's going to help a lot with the altitude sickness and getting your body used to it. And then you'll just have like a nice evening in Estes Park, just getting used to the elevation.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And if you don't take that time to do it and you just jump right in, man, it can mess you up. It mess you up real bad. You don't want to be one of those people.
So your next day, day 2, is going to be Rocky. And we're actually doing days 2 and 3 in Rocky Mountain. So you'll have about 2.5 days here, which is a good amount of time for seeing the main can't miss activities of this park.
Oh my gosh, I love some of these hikes that you're going to be doing in the Bear Lake area. They're just so pretty.
Yeah, so you'll want to devote one day to Bear Lake and one day to the Trail Ridge Road. And the itinerary on Dirt in My Shoes for Rocky will help you with that and help you navigate, when to do what things. You'll need entrance reservations most likely. Rocky's been requiring those, and so I'll help you with that as well. But just 2 really awesome days exploring the mountains and doing some of the best hikes in the park, like the hike to Emerald Lake or the hike to Adams Falls and beyond, or the hike to, what's some of your favorite? Alberta Falls. Like, there's so many.
Yeah. Or one of my favorite things to do is visiting Sprague Lake. Like, so you mentioned before, depending on the timing of this trip, like if you're here at all in the fall, like Sprague Lake is one of my favorite places to kind of just sit and you can observe like the reflection of the lake and get a whole lot of like colors. The tree colors are so beautiful as they reflect on the water, and you can sit and hear the elk bugling.
Yeah, fall in Rocky is pretty magical. But 2.5 days is a good amount of time. You'll see a lot of the park. You can drive up to the Alpine Visitor Center. You can do some hiking along the way. There's a lot of viewpoints that you can stop at. But you are getting Rocky Mountain High for these few days as you're in just this really cool high elevation mountain landscape.
Yes.
And the cool thing about Rocky that a lot of people don't realize is that you are spending a good amount of your time in the tundra area of the park, which is traditionally very hard to get to when you're in the mountains. Usually you have to hike to it and it takes a long time and it's really hard to get to the elevation that is the tundra. This is the area where like hardly anything can grow. It's above the tree line. It's just very harsh. But as you drive through Rocky, the road takes you right past this area and you can explore it. You can do the Tundra Communities Trail, or you'll just be up in this area when you're at the Alpine Visitor Center. It's pretty crazy.
Right. And we talk about this in the Fun Facts episode for Rocky Mountain, but because these mountains are so big and kind of dome-shaped, they're not necessarily like craggy mountains with spires going into the air. They're just really large dome mountains. There's so much land above the tree line in this park that you can go and easily explore along the Trail Ridge Road. And that really is unique. And
it's so cool.
Yes.
And I mean, there is a reason that the song is called Rocky Mountain High.
Yeah.
Because you're probably at a higher elevation than you've really ever been at this point.
Yes, but thanks to that road, which is so cool, that takes us to our next van life song. We have to do 2 of them, actually.
For days 2 and 3.
Yes, so I'll read a line or 2 and see if you can catch it. Ho, I've been trying to do it right. Hey, I've been living a lonely life. Ho!
It's just that Ho Hey song?
Yeah. Exactly. By the Lumineers.
I like that song.
They live in Colorado. So that's the first one.
Nice.
That's
a good van life song.
This one you should get almost immediately.
Okay.
To my friends in New York, I say hello. My friends in LA, they don't know. Come on, Ash.
No.
Oh my gosh. Where I've been for the past few years or so, Paris to China to Colorado.
Oh.
Oh my goodness.
Imagine Dragons.
No.
I don't know.
This is Good Life by One Republic.
Oh.
You love One Republic.
I do, but usually I don't really listen to the words.
Yeah, it's true. And if you do listen, if you read...
put too much pressure on me.
I know.
You said I would know it right away. And then when I didn't, I was like, I don't know.
I jinxed you.
Yeah.
But by the way, if you listen to the lyrics of all these songs, they're very van life.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, it's all about getting a new start and making a change in your life, getting out of the rat race and living a more simple, free lifestyle. It's just great. So those are 2 more songs for
Nice.
days 2 and 3.
That's awesome. So at the end of day 3, you have a choice. At this point, we're done with Rocky. If you decided to drive the Trail Ridge Road on day 3, then you could just stay in Grand Lake, which is on the other side of Rocky Mountain, because we're heading that direction anyway.
Which is my favorite lake in all of Colorado, by the way.
John loves Grand Lake.
Oh my gosh.
So you can do that, or you can just go back to Estes Park and
Mhm.
stay there, and then we can work our way to our next park from there as well. So totally up to you. But day 4 is a drive day, and we are driving to Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park, which is, in fairness, pretty far from Rocky Mountain.
Yes, it's quite a drive.
It's a 6-hour drive from Rocky to Black Canyon, but there's a couple of really cool things you can see along the way if you have time. What's our song for this day, John?
Oh, you gotta yell it out.
Van Life!
Van Life! We're pulling apart and coming together again and again. We're growing apart, but we pull it together together again. Do you know what this one is?
No!
Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Don't let me go. Oh my gosh, Ash.
It's not sounding familiar at
You
all.
love this song in this
Really?
band. The Fray.
I do love the Fray.
Oh my gosh. They're from Denver.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Shows how much I pay attention.
Yes. So in van life.
Don't let me go. That one?
Yes. We're coming
Oh.
together with the people that
Yeah,
are
I never
important to us.
listen to the words. I just jam out, but I don't sing along. It's just like, na, 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 you know?
Yes, it's so good. Yeah, sometimes it's like when my parents they would always be like, "Do you know what this song is about?" And I'm like, "I have no idea."
No, yeah. It's self-preservation. I don't actually want to know what they're singing about. It's just catchy, okay?
Oh, it's so good. But yes, so we've had 4 really good van life songs so far
Nice.
for the mixtape.
All right, so listen to that one as you're driving to Black Canyon of the Gunnison. Few things that you will pass by. So if you're coming from Estes Park and you can drive south on Highway 7 towards Black Hawk, and this is called the Peak to Peak Scenic Byway, and it's actually the oldest scenic byway in Colorado.
Ooh, cool.
And what it does, it takes you, so there's a lot of areas along this that were mining towns. And so you get just a piece of that mining history. It's Victorian era, so the buildings look really cool.
Yeah.
There's some ghost towns along the way. There's a carousel, like a historic carousel you can ride. Like all sorts of stuff you can do in between Estes Park and Black Hawk. So that's really cool. The other thing is you'll pass a couple areas of Rocky that a lot of people don't see as you drive down that route as well. So Highway 7 will take you through like the Lily Lake area and past Wild Basin, both areas of Rocky that a lot of people don't see.
But I love going down kind of around that side because you see a different part of the park than like what you would see if you focus mainly, which I think we normally do, is focusing on the Estes Park up and over the Trail Ridge Road and the Grand Lake. Going around the bottom is a little bit different route.
Yeah, and again, you get like that mining history and some cool downtowns and some unique things you can see that way. So that's a really fun way to spend a little bit of time as you drive your 6 hours to Black Canyon. Another thing you'll pass by pretty closely is the paved road that takes you to the top of Mount Blue Sky. And so this is just right off I-70 as you're going west towards Black Canyon, towards like Grand Junction. That's the direction you're going. And to drive up Mount Blue Sky, so that's the highest paved road in North America.
Nice.
Yeah, and you can actually drive to the top of this mountain, which is 14,266 feet above sea level.
That's crazy.
Crazy, right? But you can drive to the top of it. So that you'll kind of pass by. You'll have to detour a little bit, but that's in the area, the general vicinity.
Nice. Totally worth stopping by.
Another thing that you'll notice as you're driving along I-70 and kind of that corridor as you're making your way towards Black Canyon is you're passing by a lot of famous ski towns and mountain towns. And so towns that you've probably heard of, like Breckenridge and Aspen and Vail, Leadville, which is an old mining town that's really cool, Glenwood Springs, which has hot springs, but that's also where, who was it, Wyatt Earp died?
I think it was
Doc Holliday.
Be My Huckleberry.
Doc Holliday.
That's where he's buried.
That's right. He's buried there. So it has some Old West vibes and stuff like that. And so, and again, some of these are off the beaten path. Some of these, if you want to see them, you'll need to take a different route. You won't stay on the main interstate to get to Black Canyon, but you can take some side roads that will take you down a more scenic way to Black Canyon that might take a little bit longer. But if you want to stop there, if you want to see it, this is the time to do that.
Right. This isn't a call out for the next song, but if your van lifers love hot springs. And so
who doesn't love hot springs?
Like I think
John doesn't like hot springs.
I do. It's just the cold walk back.
It's the human soup that he doesn't like.
Yeah, it's true. But at Glenwood Springs, they have this massive, I think it's the largest hot springs pool in the world.
Oh, really?
So it's huge.
Do you have proof?
It was on a website.
We like Glenwood Springs. It's a fun town.
It's a cool one. And you can like take a tram up to the top of something and explore around. And
but I mean, Vail is right along I-70. You don't even have to detour really to go to Vail. So that's nice. And we drove through Leadville last year for the first time. And that was cool. And you see so many 14ers as you're driving past Leadville and going south. That was crazy. And the town was super cool looking. And it's the highest town in America. The
highest incorporated city.
Oh, nice.
I think Alma, which is another town in Colorado, is higher, but because it's a town and not an incorporated city, it doesn't count.
Nice. But it's like 10,000 feet above sea level.
Oh, it's amazing.
Right?
It's so high.
So some really cool options in there. And you can always make this road trip longer if you want to stay and explore some of these places.
Oh, there's absolutely some fun things. Like you could take this 6-hour drive and turn it into a couple of days.
Yeah, easily. So that brings us to day 5, though, assuming that you just kind of stopped for the day where you wanted to and then made your way to Black Canyon the night of day 4. Then for day 5, you're perfectly set up to hang out, spend the day, explore Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park for the day.
Right. Van life?
Okay.
This place is so cool. Like, it really surprises you. I would say that
Black Canyon?
Yeah. It absolutely surprises you. It fills up your senses like a night in the forest. I
love that song.
Like the mountain in springtime. Like a walk in the rain.
Annie's song,
exactly. And who sings it?
John Denver.
Nailed it.
You can tell I like John Denver, and I listen to his lyrics. It's the only one that I've gotten.
That is true.
Are his from the lyrics.
Oh, man. But this national park is so surprising in so many ways.
It really is. And it's an afterthought for most people if they even make it there. You know, it's like, what is there even to do here? And Black Canyon, so it's set up so you've got a north rim and a south rim, and then you have the river down below, basically.
Yep.
And the north part of it is pretty far removed. It's kind of hard to get to. So for the purpose of this road trip, we're going to the south part. And that's where like the main visitor center is. There's a campground there. There's a whole bunch of overlooks. And some of the overlooks have short trails that you can take. Like we like Warner Point at the very end, but there's a lot in between. The Painted Wall, you have to stop at the Painted Wall viewpoint. That one's so cool.
That's why this is one of the most surprising places to me, because you have this extremely, extremely steep cliff canyon
Mhm.
that just drops off.
I've never felt vertigo so much as I have in that park.
Like even at the Grand Canyon, you
No,
don't
it's
feel
not the same because it's like steeper.
Yeah. And I think like when you stand at the abyss, which is I think the largest cliff face in the Grand Canyon, which is like 2,500 feet. I think. Don't quote me on that. But it's super steep and it's super big. But I think the Grand Canyon is so vast.
It's wide.
Yeah.
Even though you're standing next to a really big cliff, it's wide.
Yeah.
And Black Canyon's not wide.
No. Meaning the canyon from rim to rim isn't
Right.
wide. It literally is kind of like, it's almost like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where he has to do the leap of faith, and he comes to the edge of this cave. He almost walks off the edge of a cliff and falls into the never-ending abyss, basically. But he has to throw some sand out to figure out where he's supposed to walk, and he makes it across. But that is really how it feels.
I've never grasped my kids so tight at an overlook with guardrails.
Yeah.
Usually I'm okay, but at Black Canyon, I'm holding on to their shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lean over too far.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's so cool. And the striations in the rocks.
Yeah.
And the river down below you, it's really, really amazing.
And the way that the canyon is, like at Black Canyon, it feels like where you get to walk out to and look at everything is jagged around you. And so it's like you have cliff on the left, cliff on the right. And if you take the wrong step, you're going to, it's really narrow where you can be sometimes. And the river, it doesn't meander slowly. Like the river makes really sharp turns. And so the canyon does the same thing.
Well, and the river's raging too.
Yes.
And so that adds to it too. It's there's this big, mean river down at the bottom. And the rocks really are black.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dark. The sun doesn't reach the bottom for very long because it's such a narrow canyon.
Yeah.
And so it does. It feels more ominous, more like a villain. Ooh. I like it.
Well, it's like Black Adam when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was Black Adam.
I have no idea.
Oh, it's pretty cool.
He's looking at me like I should know. I'm like, okay. Nope, I don't know.
Okay,
sorry.
Seriously though, but the way that the painted wall looks like a lightning bolt struck a black cliff, and then you have just these jagged zigzags of lightning in the rock, which reminds me of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Black Adam. Okay, so that was awesome.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ash.
The other thing you can do here is you can drive down to the river on the East Portal Road if it's open. So that's really cool too. But really, if you're sticking to the south part of the park, you really only need the one day. I mean, I was torn because it's you know us, we spend more time there than most people. And we've spent days here and we love it. But if you're on a road trip, you only have a certain amount of time off.
Yeah.
You can't just linger everywhere. Then one day at Black Canyon, your day 5, should be enough to see those main sites there on the south part of the park.
Definitely.
So from there, day 6 is another drive day. We are driving to Mesa Verde National Park, and this is going to take you anywhere from 3 to 3.5 hours, depending on which route you take, without stops. So it's not a super long drive. You have the chance to make some stops and still get to Mesa Verde at a somewhat decent time. But John, van life.
Pack yourself a toothbrush, dear. Pack yourself a favorite blouse. Take a withdrawal slip. Take all your savings out. Anything?
Yeah, I know what song it is, but I can't.
Because if we don't leave this town, we might never make it out. I was not born to drown, baby. Come on. Sleep on the Floor by the Lumineers.
I like the Lumineers, but like I said, I recognize the toothbrush line.
Yeah.
I did know what that was, but I had no idea what that song is called.
So good. But yeah, it's a perfect, pack yourself. This is a great road tripping song. Especially since we're heading to, it's hard to say this is one of my favorite parks in Colorado because I love Rocky Mountain so much. They're all so great. But this one is a very different flavor. And so
yeah.
You're
Verde
leaving,
is totally different.
Yeah, you're leaving the appreciating just nature, and you're going to the
culture.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
American culture.
Which is so great.
Okay, so this drive day, though, one of our favorite roads in Colorado, you can drive on this day. And that's the $1 Million Highway that travels from, you're in Montrose is the gateway town to Black Canyon. And from Montrose, if you go south through the San Juan Mountains, then you're making your way towards Durango is the goal. But it takes you up through these mountains and, again, a strong mining flavor, but you've got waterfalls and you've got gorgeous mountain views.
The San Juans are incredible.
Yeah.
They're so tall.
Well, and you'll go through Ridgeway, which is John Wayne.
Yes.
That's where they filmed True Grit. So we've talked about that in other episodes.
When we did the Grand Circle episode, we covered that. And
then beyond Ridgeway, you hit Ouray, which is the Switzerland of America, or whatever they call it.
Yep. It's so neat.
But you're just like tucked up into the mountains, and Ouray is really cool. There's a lot you can do there.
They do ice climbing and stuff there in the winter.
It's really famous for ice climbing. But yeah, so that's really cool. And then you continue along this $1 Million Highway, and you'll drive for a while, and you'll get to Silverton, which is an old mining town really high up in these mountains. And it's really cool.
Great funnel cakes.
Yeah. It's a really cool old town. Like, sometimes we've been there when people have been dressed up in like the saloon girl outfits and stuff. But yeah, it just has a really cool main street, kind of more that Victorian era flavor with the frilly buildings.
Yeah, and you can
stuff.
they have the steam engine
the train
will pull into town, and it's really kind of fun.
Yeah, so Silverton is really cool, and then you'll work your way down the canyon to Durango, which also has a really cool flavor. It's a neat city.
I liked Durango.
Yeah.
I really liked the saloon where they had the pianist.
Yeah, they have a pianist in the saloon. What was that called? I didn't write it down.
I don't recall.
We'll look it up and we'll put it in the show notes. There's a fun saloon there, and fishing is really big in Durango. Got some really fish heavy, like trout rivers.
Around the Durango area, this is where I'm always yelling out raft.
Yeah.
Because people are pulling rafts all over the place. And so it's just so much fun.
Yeah. So that's a really fun, scenic way to get down to Mesa Verde from Black Canyon. You can go a different way that will take you right past Telluride if you'd rather go that way and go through Telluride. That's fine too. But we do prefer the $1 Million Highway. That's our favorite. So that's your day 6, driving to Mesa Verde. And then you're perfectly set up for days 7 and 8 to spend in Mesa Verde National Park.
Which is just an adventure of a different kind. It's a horse of a different color.
I put 2 days for Mesa Verde.
I agree with that.
I don't think most people spend that much time, but here's the thing. If you want to tour the cliff dwellings, you need to give yourself enough time there so that you can spread out your tours enough. And then there's more stuff to do beyond just tours, or you can add in another tour.
Yeah.
We have our 2 favorites that we pretty much always do, which are Cliff Palace and Balcony House. But Longhouse is so cool, and that's going to take a whole nother section of your day.
Right.
Because it takes forever to drive out there, and it's a longer tour. So that's why it's like 2 days is good, because you can take as many tours as you want. There's even more tours than just those 3. And then there's also places in the park you can go, you can hike, you can see things without being on a ranger-led tour.
Yeah, and I think if you're living this road trip like a van lifer, a lot of times you don't necessarily have the ability to get reservations far in advance. And if you're not staying in the park boundaries, it can take a really long time, surprisingly a long amount of time, to drive from like Cortez into Mesa Verde and actually where they have all of those things, because it's like the end of the park road and it can take a long time to do that commute. And so,
which we talk about in the Mesa Verde exploring episode. So go listen to that if you're seriously considering Mesa Verde, because we talk about some of the logistical things as far as like getting the tour times and the drive times and all of that. It is a little bit harder to set up your days. Which is why I'm like, 2 days is good, because then you don't feel rushed and you can do several tours if you want to.
And it gives you the flexibility to figure things out if things are booked up. But we do need to know what our van life songs are for
Okay.
days 7 and 8. Hope when the moment comes, you'll say, I did it all. I did it all. I owned every second that this world could give. I saw so many places, the things that I did. I swear I lived.
Uh-huh. I like that song.
Yep. By who?
One Republic.
One Republic. Nailed it.
That's a good song.
Yeah, especially because we're at this place where there's, we're seeing the ancient places where these ancestral Puebloans lived. You want to know if you're in van life? I lived. That's why you're doing it. And then the next song for day 8. Well, I got me a fine wife. I got me old fiddle. When the sun's coming up, I got cakes on the griddle.
Another John Denver that I know the lyrics to.
Exactly.
Thank God I'm a country boy.
Exactly. I love it. John Denver is killing it on this trip. Oh my gosh. So good. Well, I wouldn't trade my life for diamonds or jewels. I never was one of them money-hungry fools. That's why I moved into a van. But that sets up day 9, which is our last national park, but it is such a fun adventure.
It really is. So unique. It's so unique. It's
so
different
different
than anything you've seen up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it should be because they're the tallest sand dunes in America.
Right.
So
oh, man.
You don't just see that every day.
No, exactly.
But so day 9, we're heading to Great Sand Dunes National Park.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll spend your morning driving there from Mesa Verde. It takes about 4 hours. You'll go through Durango. You'll go through Pagosa Springs. There's a couple towns that you might want to stop in.
And if you're a van lifer and you want hot springs, Pagosa Springs, I think, has the Guinness World Record for the deepest hot spring.
Is that a good thing? That sounds terrifying.
I don't know if you could. I'm not exactly sure how it works.
Do we want the deepest ones? Or do we want one that we can just sit on a rock to our shoulders?
You want both.
We do?
A deeper hot spring. It's like a deep tissue massage.
Sure, okay.
You just really get in there.
Okay, so that's your morning. You're driving. And then you'll have time for a half day at Great Sand Dunes when you get there, which is nice. I think sunset, like golden hour and sunset, is one of my very favorite times to be out taking pictures. And the sand isn't as hot on your feet. And so it's a good time to go out and explore a little bit if you have time.
Yep.
There's some trails and stuff that you can do. But mostly you're there for the sand.
Yeah.
Which is how you'll spend day 10 all day at Great Sand Dunes, either sledding or hiking to the top of High Dune or Star Dune. But just, keep in mind, if you're here in the summer, it's hot.
It is.
And so you'll want to spend more time kind of the morning and evening hours just so that you don't burn your feet off.
Right.
So that's important.
But I think this is a good tip/warning. If you're not going in the heat of the day and you go when it's a little bit cooler, you will have a very specific enemy. When you leave the parking lot and go the 50 yards from the parking lot to the dunes, or where the creek, Medano Creek, sometimes is, you will pass through a gauntlet of mosquitoes.
It's true.
The worst mosquitoes I've ever experienced.
Yeah, but once you get out on the sand, it's okay. You just have to get past the parking lot trees.
Yes.
But yeah, keep that in mind. This one is, like I said, if it's midsummer, it's going to be hot in the middle of the day. So you're going to want another activity to do during that time. But mostly you're going to spend your time out on the sand because that's what you're there for. And it's really, really fun.
It is so fun.
And the sand sledding here is better than White Sands, I think. They have specialized like sandboards and sleds that just work really well. So you can catch some major speed on these dunes.
Which I have done.
Yes.
To my peril, I will say.
I thought John was going to die. I got him on video and I was like, oh my gosh. Like if he crashes, he's dead.
It felt like I was going like 50 miles an hour on this little wedge of a sandboard sled.
Yeah.
And I was just cruising. I was like, at a certain point, you can slow yourself down with your hands. But once you pass a certain speed threshold, your hands will get tore up by putting them down. And so at a certain point, I just had to resign myself to whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that.
It was awesome.
But yeah, so Great Sand Dunes, you have a full day here to explore. We have a can't miss list on Dirt in My Shoes if you want some ideas of what to do. And then we've also talked about this park in a few different episodes. I know we talked about it, and there's a swimming spots one. We talked about Medano Creek because that's really cool. Sometimes the creek comes down from the mountains and it's like a beach.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. And then we also talked about this one in the Grand Circle as well. So you can learn more about the park in those episodes.
Right.
But van life.
We need a song.
Yeah.
Van life. I don't know what you've been told, but time is running out. No need to take it slow. I'm stepping to you toe to toe. I should be scared, honey. Maybe so, but I ain't worried about it right now. I ain't worried about it
right now. Da 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 da. Yeah. Okay.
Once again, One Republic. I ain't worried about it.
Nice.
It's so good. This is the one where you're just like on the beach at Great Sand Dunes and you ain't worried about it. It's so good. So that's for day 9.
Nice. Good choice. That's day 10, actually.
Ooh, which means we need another one.
Oh, okay.
Because we skipped
Day
a day.
9 was our drive day.
Day 9 was the drive day.
Yeah.
Day 10 is lately I've been losing sleep.
Thinking about the things that we could be. That one?
Yes. Counting Stars, once again by One Republic, who's from Colorado Springs.
Oh, which we are going to on day 11.
Yeah,
that should have been the day 11 song.
Yeah, it's true. Whoops. But the reason I kept it as day 10 is because the night skies here at Great Sand Dunes are incomparable.
Yeah.
Like, you're so far. I mean, you have...
From anything.
I mean, Alamosa is the closest.
Which is like 40 minutes away.
But it's also like 5 houses, it feels. Well, it's bigger than that.
It's bigger than that.
it's pretty small.
It's not a huge place, that's for sure.
Yeah, and there's no light pollution out here, it seems like. And so you can have some amazing experiences looking at the night skies here.
Last time we were there, a huge thunderstorm, like a really scary one, rolled through the mountains right behind the sand dunes.
Yeah.
And they had like these huge, like scary thunderstorm warnings for the towns on the other side of the mountains, but we were okay. But we just we were in our trailer in the campground and we were just watching the storm. It was lightning every 3 seconds. Big bolts.
For hours. Hours and hours. And for some reason, it felt like the storm could not pass. Gandalf had stood on the top of the mountain and said, "You shall not pass."
It was not coming on our side, but we could see it so clearly.
It was amazing.
But yeah, we've had a lot of really cool experiences in that park because of how far removed it is and how dark it gets. So yeah, I agree. That's a good song for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so day 11, we're saying goodbye to Great Sand Dunes and we're driving back to Denver so that we can finish up our road trip. There's a couple things you'll pass by as you're driving this route to Denver, but the main thing is Colorado Springs, which people mostly want to see Garden of the Gods when they're coming through this way and going through Colorado Springs, which is really cool, honestly. Yeah. It was so busy.
It was really busy.
A lot of people want to go here.
We were there over Easter weekend, and so it was pretty wild.
Yeah, but it's really cool, very beautiful, and just a really cool place to wander. So you can do that. You can drive Pikes Peak. That's another one similar to Mount Blue Sky that you can actually drive to the top of the mountain, and it's a 14er, so you're above 14,000 feet. You can also take the cog train, which is really unique to this one. There's a train that goes to the top of Pikes Peak.
That's so cool.
So you could do that instead if you don't want to drive. That's a really cool option. And so those are kind of the main things to do kind of in this Colorado Springs area. If you want to add an extra day or if you just have a few hours, you can definitely stop in here and still do some really cool things. Manitou Springs is really cute. They have a cute downtown. You can do the Manitou Incline, which is that trail that you always see on Instagram that's just like 5,000 steps straight up the hill. That's notoriously difficult, and people come from all over to do that.
Oof.
And so lots of, we did the arcade in Manitou Springs. Our kids love that, the Penny Arcade.
That was super
a
fun.
few hours there. So lots of fun stuff to do in this area as you're working your way back to Denver.
Right. And as we work our way back, we're coming to our last couple of songs for Van Life.
Van Life.
I'm trying to put it all back together. I've got a story and I'm trying to tell it right. I've got the kerosene and the desire. I'm trying to start a flame in the heart of the night.
No idea.
I don't have any hope for this one. It's Heartbeat by The Fray, who are from Denver.
Okay.
So
that doesn't sound familiar to me at all.
Yeah, it's one. If I got to the heartbeat part, I could probably do it, but I don't think I'll be able to do it justice.
We're not singing for.
I don't think I could make it recognizable. I can do the One Republic, whistle, for I ain't worried about it, but I don't know about this last one.
That's funny. Okay, so that's day 11. Heartbeat, right?
Heartbeat.
Okay.
That's right.
And day 12 is we're just flying home. We're just getting to Denver and we're saying goodbye to Colorado after this really epic road trip.
Yep.
So our song, Van Life.
Van Life is not leaving on a jet plane.
Oh.
Just even though it probably
that would have been a good fit.
Could have been, but it didn't have any language in the lyrics that really resonated with van life that much.
Okay.
And so I decided to go with, I hear her voice in the morning hour, she calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Which one is this, Ash?
I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country road, take me home.
Yep, take me home, country roads.
Yep.
You just don't finish the whole chorus or whatever because it says West Virginia. But this is John Denver, Take Me Home, Country Roads.
Do you like how I said country road, take me home?
Yep, that was pretty
I'm
close.
So confused. I actually do know that song.
Yeah, man. It's so good. But
nice.
John Denver, One Republic, The Fray, and the Lumineers have been your mixtape for this van life trip.
Here's where we should mention, you could go to Red Rocks while you're here.
Yes.
As a nod to the music, the mixtape, the bands.
That makes sense.
All that. You could add that in.
This is like the Guardians of the Galaxy mixtape, but specific Colorado taste.
Well, I didn't know most of those were from Colorado. So.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
And I also realized I don't listen to lyrics very good. So.
I thought for sure you would have gotten all the One Republic was like that.
I really like One Republic. I know. I listen to those. That's like my Pandora station I listen to almost every day while I'm working.
If the script was from Colorado, you would have nailed all of it.
I know all the words to the script. I know. No, that's my type of music, though. So
yeah, that's good stuff.
Fun. Well, what a fun road trip. I mean, honestly, it can't be beat.
No.
You could spend, and like we said, this was 12 days, and this is we're moving, and we're getting to these parks, but there's so many cool places that you can add in between. And I can't tell you how many times we've driven through Colorado, and we're like, wait, what is this? I've never heard of this place before. How did we not know this was here? We literally just had that experience driving through Leadville last summer. And both of us were like, if I would have known that this was so cool and that there's so much to do right here. And we saw so many rafts. People are rafting all up and down that highway.
Well,
there.
We drive right past Mount Elbert.
Yeah.
Too. So all of these...
and multiples. There was signs all the whole way with mountain names pointing, and they're all 14ers.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, how did we not know that this was here?
I know.
And now we're planning a trip back because it's now we got to go stay in Leadville and go actually hang out and see what there is that we want to do here.
I know. Well, it's so funny because you're driving through Colorado and seeing a 14,000 foot peak just becomes normal life.
I know. We were like, oh, another one.
You totally take it for granted by the end of your trip. You're just like, that one's only 14,000 X amount of feet. Oh, it's not quite as high as, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a little, I don't know why I did that voice.
Yeah, that was that was almost like bordering on your Trump impersonation. John does a pretty good Trump impersonation.
You know what it reminded? So I watched a movie the other day, tangent, that I have to watch by myself because Ash doesn't really like the movie that much, and it came on Netflix. It was Return to Me.
Yeah, I don't like that movie that much.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to give it another try.
You should. But it reminded me of this lady. My favorite line that me and my sister used to say to each other all the time was, blah, 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 my water. When you're like getting impatient about something. It's like, you're seeing so many 14,000 foot peaks. Let's move on to the next cool thing.
Right.
Blah, 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 my water. It's kind of fun. Return to Me, David Duchovny.
Oh
it's
my gosh.
Mini Driver.
Well, such a cool state.
Yes.
I have a great love for Colorado. And I think what's cool, though, about going to all the parks in Colorado in one trip is, like we mentioned at the beginning, each park has its own unique landscapes and flavor. And it's a totally different experience from park to park.
Mm-hmm.
So you really don't feel like you've stayed in the same state.
Right.
You really feel like you've traveled far and wide to see like all these different things. And that's what makes it so cool.
Well, you did 1,000 miles.
Well, yeah, but you're still in Colorado. That's what's crazy.
I know. Say that to somebody in the UK. We just traveled 1,000 miles and we're still...
No big deal. No big deal. We do that for fun.
Right.
So anyway, today's task is to go over to the Dirt in My Shoes Facebook or Instagram page and let us know which of these 4 Colorado parks you are the most excited to visit. Or if you've been to them, let us know which one is your favorite. Can you pick a favorite? That's going to be hard.
It is hard. Well, it's all based on different criteria.
I know.
Right?
That's the problem, is it's not comparing apples to apples.
Nope.
So anyway, but head over to our socials and let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback on that.
Yes, and we would also love to hear your feedback. If you're enjoying the podcast, please give us a 5-star review. If you enjoy van life and you want my mixtape, go to the show notes. But it's all there. But please, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a 5-star review. It helps the podcast. And we hope that you're able to get some Colorado Rocky Mountain High dirt in your shoes.